Greetings, everyone. Rob Chassner here, continuing in our study verse by verse through the Bible. And we're starting a new study today on this video in the book of Esther. And this video will be an introduction to the book of Esther. So it's a unique book in a number of ways. It's the only it's only one of two books in the entire Bible which bear the name of a woman, Ruth, of course, being the other. And it's also unique in that it's only one of two books in the Bible where God's name is not mentioned. Initially, as you go through this book, it doesn't appear to be particularly spiritual. It seems to be more like a romantic novel. Now, chronologically, the book of Esther covers a time frame for about 10 years in history, and it falls in between the history recorded in the book of Ezra, chapters 6 and 7. So, right between chapters 6 and 7 of the book of Ezra is when all of this history occurred that's recorded in the book of Esther. And we know that Ezra and Nehemiah dealt with the Jews repatriating to Israel and leaving their Persian captivity, going back to the Promised Land. And so Esther is an historical record of the Jews who decided to remain behind and stay in the Persian Empire. They could very well, this could very well be the reason why we don't find the name of God written in the book of Esther. The grace of God is upon the Jews, but there's no intimacy or a depth of relationship between the Jews and God. This is a group of people who were given the chance to go into the deeper things with God. This is a group of people who, when given a chance to go into deeper things and to get plugged back into the will of God, but they essentially said, no, thank you. They had done very well financially in Persia. They built homes, they built businesses, and they were more interested in the things of life rather than the things of God. When King Darius, the king of Persia, issued an edict allowing the Jews to leave Persia and go back and rebuild Jerusalem and Israel, they said that a lot of these people said that leaving Persia did not quite fit within their lifestyle. And so, yeah, God's grace was there, but there was no depth of relationship with God. There's no intimacy with God. There was no surrendering their lives to God. So the book of Esther is dealing with these Jews that were not practicing Judaism. They were not practicing their religion or temple worship or sacrificial worship. They were God's people, but they weren't doing any rituals or working at all on their relationship with God. They were just living their lives in a way which was pleasing to themselves. And so God is present, but God was not the people's primary interest. Their lives were more interested, they were interested more in their lives in the culture than they were in their relationship with God. So God is working silently, He's working behind the scenes, and God will be revealed in this book of Esther. Uh, but it doesn't mention the name of God throughout this particular book. So this is the final book in the history section of the Old Testament. And as you study the Old Testament, what follows this order of history, you get into the poetry, you get into the prophets. All right, so that's just a short introduction to the book of Esther. Our next video will be a Bible study verse by verse through Esther chapters 1 and 2. Thank you for viewing, and good day.